Using the higher time frame, the overnight VWAP, I was able to keep myself out of a losing trade and actually be looking in the right direction of the overall trend. I do this many times of using the 1 minute and the 15 minute, and today I was able to make just shy of $900 across my 3 top 1 futures accounts, which if you need one right now, they're on sale with my code. But it was really just keeping it simple of let's go over what I don't want to do to start the session before we take a look at my trades. We're going to look at ES here at the open. No doubt more sellers in control. Lower highs, lower lows. There's a retest underneath New York. And we get a nice break for a new low a day. Now, we don't want to be chasing new lows, right? We want to wait for some sort of pullback and maybe look for the next leg lower. And it does give a nice pullback to the New York VWAP. And like I said, sellers are clearly in control this morning. So shorts look to be the way. We're underneath New York, outside open range low even. You can even see the New York VWAP came outside the open range low, which is a pretty selling sign of bearish trend. But regardless, let's also throw on a lower day view up and see what that would look like. When do sellers step back in? Well, you could argue maybe there's a break here on that lower day view up, which is what I would teach in the course, as well as maybe over here. Any of these breaks, right? Or even if you sold the bounce play, saying I want the price off New York VWAP, give me a stop loss back inside the range. Maybe you could scalp that for a little bit of money. But the reason I'm not surprised it went back higher is because that 15 minute, keeping an eye on the overall trend, that if we just circle where we're looking for this bounce play where it rejected at the lows, when we pull up the 15 minute, you can see it's actually just creating a higher low. We're still very bullish on the day overnight into this open. That yes, the first 30 minutes have been bearish, no doubt about that. But overall, is trend actually bearish? That I'm looking for moves lower for trend continuation? No, trend continuation would be back to the upside. So let me see if buyers can step back in. And then at that point, let's say they don't step back in, right? This does move lower. Well, then where we would be on the 15 minute would be down here. Maybe trend now actually is bearish because we're clearly below VWAP, now breaking structure. But at this point in the day, it's too soon to say that sellers are in control and going to keep control, right? Because let's just zoom out on the whole 15 minute to this week. We made a new all-time high today. We made one yesterday. We made one pre-market on this given day. How am I short biased? The trend is not bearish. It's still very, very strong bullish. It's been buyers in control overnight. This is a key area of interest. And what I also did, where I took the trade itself, let's go over to NQ. Let's throw on that overnight view up as well. You'll see it's actually even cleaner off of it. Even more so reason of this is just a retest to create the next higher low and then move us back into trend, which is, like I said, bullish, not bearish. So I know it could be easy to get sucked into those first few minutes or even an hour on the 1 minute. But keeping that bigger picture in mind, you stay in line with the actual trend and not get induced into a couple of moves, right? So I have my notes here. Couldn't bring myself to short this at the overnight view up because, I mean, if you've read Futures 2.0, which is the course and the strategy I teach on ASFX TV, if you want to review that, you can get full access for free if you just use code FIRST to get your first month of streams and the courses for free. I'll break down this bounce play here off of VWAP, that it is a nice new low a day. Retest, let's go continue trend lower. But I keep saying continue trend lower, trend is not bearish. So on this given day, discretion will keep you out of it, right? Let's say if we were fully bearish on the 15 minute, below the overnight, below previous days in New York VWAP, right? Full bearish sentiment, this would absolutely make sense. And you would expect it to want to move lower because why not? But on this specific day, don't like the shorts here. Then you could argue your first sign to buy it is the break above high day VWAP, right? Any of these two there. I just can't bring myself to do that because I'm still thinking in my head, I know I want to find the longs, but that 15 minute is bullish, but this 1 minute is pretty bearish, right? When it's a tug of war, you don't have to make a decision. I'm just letting you guys know I didn't like the shorts. I like the longs, but sometimes I can't bring myself to fight something and take it, but that's fine because then what do we get? A new high a day confirming that, yep, I did want to be a buyer back here. I knew it. But we don't just jump in anywhere now saying, well, then I'll just buy it here. I'll just buy it there, right? I knew we were going higher. Nope. I thought we might move higher. I was correct. Didn't make money on it. Let's wait for a pullback. It pulls back to New York view up not once, but twice. And I even had a high day view up on this. I get in before the high day break just because I really like the longs. Because why wouldn't I, right? We went over that whole 15 minute. I'm very bullish today. You could even throw on a low of day view up. And to inverse that, look at how many times the sellers are struggling. Sellers couldn't take it there, couldn't take it. So sellers are very weak. We keep on building these higher lows. I don't think I need to wait for the higher day view up break. Now, of course, you could because if you notice, I go through some drawdown. But I have a good stop loss underneath structure in case this wants to keep playing around the New York VWAP. I don't know how much it wants to hold it by or how many pins or wicks it wants to throw. So give it room to actually potentially hold, and I'm able to sit through the trade. Now, if you wait for the actual break of it, buyers don't step in until over here. And if you do it that way, you could see pure profit because buyers are 100% back in. So like I've said with the bounce play versus the break play, sometimes the bounce play or the break play here, gives you a worse price, right? It's a little bit higher than where I longed it, but maybe a little bit more high probability that buyers are 100% back in. And sometimes you'll get pure profit because you're timing it a little bit better. But when you play the bounce play, you'll oftentimes get better prices, but sometimes you'll be early or wrong because it never breaks the high a day and you just lose, right? So it's to each their own, whatever confidence you have that day on how strong that direction is, and you know you want to go a certain way, you might not wait for a high day break. But on a day when you kind of want to be convinced of what to do, you'll wait for a high day VWAP to be broken, which is what I did today. And you can see following the structure, higher lows, we went over that, went over the notes over here. One other thing we could look at, and I should know I didn't get this whole move, but it is a nice pop. I got out just about 1 hour over there as I made a nice clean consecutive move up. But like I said, copy to all my top 1 accounts, nice win at 12:30 in the afternoon. I'll take that, go on with my day. Now if we clean this up a little bit, you can see I also like the longs kind of using ES versus NQ. Now I don't want to confuse anybody, but let's just go over here. Turn on the initial balance. We'll turn off the open ranges to keep it clean. So this initial balance is the first hour of the New York session. Similar to the opening range, it's just an hour rather than 15 minutes. Notice how here on NQ, we did break the high, where when I was looking at ES, there was still no break of it. So I really like the longs more, or like the potential for more longs to come in on ES, just because it hadn't broken out of a side yet. And we know it probably wants to. For that, we can go over here to Edgeful and check out the initial balance report. Let's change this to by weekday, and you'll see the chances of a single breaking versus double breaking. Today on a Thursday, the odds that there's no break, right? 4%. So it's very rare that we just stay stuck in here. But you can also look at the odds of a single break are 76%. So with that information now, ES still hasn't broken. So we know it's going to go pop one way or another. Some might say short, some might say long. I'm looking at NQ saying, well, it also probably single breaks. It took out its top, so I really don't think we're going to move lower now. So I think ES is kind of going to follow lagging behind on the NQ, which already broke, and it's going to go get its high. That's exactly what it did, because it hadn't taken out a side yet, but it eventually did go take it like we thought. So kind of using two assets together and the reports together of ES and NQ, but both using the initial balance report. So that was giving me the confidence that I think we have at least one new high a day in us, right? Because I don't think we're just going to stay trapped in this range over here on ES. This is the same thing, the notes earlier that we were kind of discussing of just reading the sentiment of the VWAP. This is on ES again. Just notice all these failed breaks of low a day VWAP, right? Sellers try to take control. They really, really can't. And you know the 15 minutes bullish. So I think any longs up in here around that New York VWAP is a very viable option, especially when I just said it still hadn't taken out IB yet, and we know we're probably going to, so you definitely could want to try to catch that move higher to go get that break. If you can get a great price at the New York VWAP, stop loss below structure, it's a nice, pretty trade. So hopefully you guys made money today some way or another. What was even in the afternoon? I mean, this thing just kept crawling higher, that even if you wait for that new high a day, let it pull back, buyers are back in, you continue that one higher. So the trend did come in. Hopefully you didn't get chopped up too much at the open, forcing too many different ideas. And I think just using that 15-minute very simply, right? I feel like some people maybe on stream or even on here try to maybe get overcomplicated with it of how I use the 15-minute. But it's really just what side of the VWAP are we on and where in relation to the VWAP are we, right? So let's turn it back on one more time, make it nice and thick so everyone can see it. That I'm really just saying, coming into the open, what do we look like? This is the 9:30 open there. So let's turn it on. Coming into the open, definitely bullish, higher highs and higher lows. Okay, cool. So I'll probably want to find longs today. We made a new all-time high yesterday. My bias is more so long until we really get bearish information. It's going to really have to convince me. So let's go one more candle. The open comes in, nothing too crazy. At 9:30 is this next one. So the open comes in, very strong bullish. All right, but then it actually moves back lower. Am I just chasing shorts because that's a strong bar? Yes, but that's a lot of selling on the 1 minute. Well, let me see what the next 15-minute candle does, right? This goes to the whole point of just patience. I don't need to know what it wants to do 30 minutes into the day. If this next candle is even bigger or the same size red, well, now that's an hour of bearish movement, or 30, 45 minutes. We're below this overnight. If we start cracking these structures to the left, this thing might want to tilt over. Let me look for shorts after that. Other than that, I'm still kind of at a pivot point that's neutral. But I need to know what happened. I need to figure out what happens here, right? Do we defend it or do we slice it? If we defend it, I want to give the longs a try because that's what's been in control today. And then you just keep on one side until you get new information, right? There's no fear in just letting the shorts come. This is the losing short. You could have probably marked off, right? New low a day, pullback, just no follow through. It would look good if the 15-minute was in line. It just wasn't. So hopefully you guys didn't get chopped up. Hopefully all we said today makes sense. Make sure you check out the top 1 sale as well as the AceFX TV promo. First month, absolutely free. Just use code Evan. We're live there every morning. There's 2 courses on there and another one on the way. So it's really the whole package deal right now. It's absolutely free for the first month. Just use code FIRST. Anything and everything I always mention in these videos is always down below. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, asking questions. And like I said, let's keep making money together. Let's have a great month next month. Keep the year rolling. But I'll see you guys on the charts tomorrow morning.